Hello, Tyne Sansom. Yeah, what you have there with the chakra system is a lovely metaphor. Okay, so, and I believe there's probably some physical correlates to it. At least how the mind works from the thinker's point of view, or you know, locations, co-location with glands and stuff. That's not far fetched to me because I know from like acupuncture and acupressure that there really were, they discovered parts of the human body that there's some significance to them. Then they add a lot of stories. It's like if you had a good masseuse that figured out how to give people massages and taught their kids 5 generations, and they're really good massage artists, and they have their technique down, and they start to develop reasons that they keep the technique. They start a story, and it's the spirits of blah blah blahs in your shoulder or whatever. That's what they're doing, and they remain good uh, masseurs, but they develop sort of a dogmatic attitude towards the why and the how and the details. So now, I'm a skeptic, so I of course do not believe the chakra system could possibly be literally correct. It's not possible, in my view, for a human mind to model something in the real world perfectly. Can't be done. Alright, the best you can do is try to have a theory which is incomplete, but doesn't, mislead you about reality insofar as the assertions it does make. And it remains silent on things about which it doesn't have a handle, basically. Now, I don't want you to think, I don't know what you think about skeptics, but skeptics are not people that, don't want to believe in fairy tales and stuff. Skeptics don't want to believe in any dogma. We're talking classical skepticism here. Pyrrho, the original Pyrrho of Elis, who traveled with Alexander to India and to the east, and got actually some Eastern attitudes and incorporated them into philosophy in the form of skepticism, the school of thought we call skepticism. The term, of course, has become associated with doubt, but it originally comes from the Greek verb to reflect, as in to ponder and think things over. I think that often Western people interpret Eastern philosophy in a dogmatic way it wasn't meant to be interpreted in. My understanding, I might as well confess, about Hinduism is strongly rooted in a professor of mine from whom I took a couple classes, and he was a favorite professor of mine. I really liked him, named Fritz Stahl, and he was a Sanskrit scholar. And I took my history of religion, or philosophy of religion, rather, sorry. A class from him and another class, I forget at the moment what it was. But he had a lot to say. As a Sanskrit scholar, he had studied and recorded even Vedic ritual and whatnot, and a theory of language and whatnot. But what I learned from him about Hinduism is that when you go through your books and you have all these 5 major religions, and they list Hinduism and they put the Vedas in there as the Bible of Hinduism, that it's all a lie. That was projected by the West. Indian religion is very open, very skeptical, really. You could have a god, maybe it's real, maybe it's not. Maybe I will try it on mine, and it's very much a kind of there's a personal role in this spirituality. And I've had friends from India, 2 Christian friends, who pointed out, Hindus will have a picture of Jesus on their altar and stuff. The altar is a spiritual thing. It's not a dogma of what absolutely everything has to be there. There's traditions and ideas about what's good and what's not. And again, you're going to have people that take it dogmatically, like you have to have this and it has to be this way. But the overall structure of the religion doesn't have that. It doesn't have a Bible. Right? Okay, and we often impose that stuff on there. Now, it's dangerous. Okay, so for example, you said that DMT is released during REM sleep. No, that's not confirmed. That's never been. No, that's just one guy's idea. like that it's released at death and birth, for example. That's from Strassman, Spirit Molecule. It's an interesting book, interesting conjecture. I've thought a lot about that book. It was very interesting. It was a lot of factual things. Him being a research scientist and all, a research pharmacist, administering DMT to people. There's real scientific results in there, but he even admits there's also a lot of speculation in an area outside of his expertise. And those things are not confirmed, and he as a scientist knows that, and he offers them as conjecture, and then I hear videos where this stuff is repeated like fact. Stuff I read when that book came out, I found it interesting. Okay, I'm not behind the curve. I find that stuff interesting. But I don't find dogma interesting or acceptable. I don't tend to, therefore, repeat something that I believe as a fact. Just because I believe it. Like, I wouldn't say that. Like, I told many people about Strassman's idea that DMT is released when you die, and that he thinks somehow this facilitates an actual spirit or something of the sort going through the pineal gland, or whatever the theory, that however you want to put it. Very interesting. I name him because it's his idea. You don't just go around and go, did you know DMT is, it's a fact. I mean, no, that's the dogmatic neurosis there, right? No offense. I'm just saying it happens that way automatically. And I'm saying this to you because, okay, I like this sort of exploration. I've had many Buddhists and Eastern philosophy types, who recognize their kinship with me. And it's interesting because, as I say, skepticism and Pyrrhonism have genealogy going to the east. And but this is where we differ. And when you say things like the brain doesn't generate consciousness, consciousness generates the brain. I mean, to me, there's a beautiful poetic truth to that, but I don't think it's what you mean. I mean, the beautiful poetic truth to me is that because of evolution, how you think defines where you go and what you try, and is a big determinant in whether you survive, which means that your offspring adapt to a different environment and they do the same thing. And so your brain is generated as a result of your behavior. And the fact that it becomes more and more conscious, or achieves consciousness, or however that's going to turn to work out among the animals, it's like, yeah, your consciousness, which I think spreads through all living things, led to, an awareness, kind of, led to a self-consciousness that most humans, mean when they say consciousness. So, but that's not what you mean. If you mean that we're just like, our thinking creates the physical matter, I'd like to be more distinct than that. On the other hand, some of those questions are moot in skepticism, because in skepticism we have to just do information processing on our perceptions, right? So it's always on our perceptions. We're not even trying to say the reality, we're just saying how our perceptions were affected.